Hi, it's Paul Roy from Profitable Practice Pro and the Partnership Advantage podcast. And today I'm excited and honored to have Stephen Himmelman, MBA, CPA, CGA, is it that as well, or CMA?
CMAs. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more credentials, Stephen, you're going to need to have a bigger or longer, wider business card, but it just speaks to your area of expertise. And so welcome. I'm going to have a great conversation. And Stephen's a pioneer in some areas of accounting that we're going to ask him to share, and in with respect to his partnerships that he also participates in. So, Stephen, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to take a brief minute to go through a bit of your history, and then we'll jump right in.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so Stephen actually, when he graduated, started with one of the big four, Grant Thornton, spent a couple of years there. And that was back when we get into the years, but in the late around 2010. And then also he went into the private side, spending time with Clark, a big shipping company, doing their financials and in-house accounting. So venturing from public accounting over and putting a foot in the other side of the street into the public world. Uh, and then with that, moving from trucking, Stephen got involved in real estate accounting and his love for real estate that we're going to discuss a little bit later in our podcast, that he's still involved with today actively outside of his accounting firm business. Went with one of the major firms in Canada, Killam Properties, and you were there for what, 2.5, almost 3 years, Stephen?
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, Controller with another company before the whole fractional CFO business started. Stephen was pioneering with this and stepping in and doing fractional work and accounting advising to other companies through KLM Financial. Uh, he got involved in a pressure washing business with a partner. I'm assuming it might have been a client that you got engaged with, but you're what I like about Stephen, and I'm going to stop talking here. I'm going to give Stephen a chance. Is his entrepreneurial spirit, and that's something that I just love to see in accountants. That it's more than just the numbers. It's being involved in that. Uh, and he's had his advising business going for a while, and most recently, um, he started with his partner Scott Vino, a company called Bookco, a virtual accounting firm, which provides full bookkeeping, full financing, financial work, fractional CFO work, and advising. You're also doing tax work and provide and forms and rebuilding balance sheets for companies other than just your bookkeeping work.
Mhm.
Yeah. And last but not least, Stephen, in his busy life with family and young and early teenage children, still finds time to be a real estate advisor and investor with EXP Realty. So I just don't know where you find Stephen. Welcome, and I know it seemed a long time of expressing who you are, but I think having your history adds to the importance of what the audience is going to learn from us today.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's not really a straight line. It's more of a circular path that I keep taking over and over again.
And you just brought up a great point is that, and I mention it to the entrepreneurial spirit because a true entrepreneur never really worries. Yeah, we've got worries about the cash flow and when we make the shift, how is we going to fund it? But the fact that you always were able to make the shift when you saw the opportunities arrive and you weren't bolted and buckled in. So, Stephen, you've had a varied career path that has led you to operating several businesses at the same time. A real estate career, as I've just explained, a bookkeeping business, and tax business that I'd like to discuss more detail later in the podcast. Most accounting firm owners are technicians who own a practice. Is it safe to say you're an accountant that has the entrepreneurial bug?
Yes. Yeah. And I wish I was the other way around. I wish I was a technician first and then a business owner second.
Ah,
Yeah.
so can we expand on that a little bit? I mean,
Yeah.
hindsight's 2020, When you say that you're wishing that you had spent more time on the technical side of accounting, public accounting, before you ventured into private
No,
business?
not really. I would say it's just how my mind is wired. And it kind of goes along with my education and my work experience at the same time. Like you said, I started off at Grant Thornton. Um, Loved it. Great organization, amazing people to work with, so much to learn. But when I was there, working and learning, I kept thinking like, well, what else, is there? How does business really works? And the working of how a business actually works was what was fascinating. So that's why I left public practice initially. I wanted to get my MBA, and I wanted to go out into industry and work for organizations and just see how they work, and then work with them on that end, which led me from Grant Thornton to Clark Inc. and their holding company, and then to ING Real Estate, and then to Kiln before venturing out on my own. So all the way, like, love learning the technical side of it for each business. But once you kind of get the technical, not mastered, but a solid understanding, your mind starts thinking, how can you apply this elsewhere? So that's kind of where I say it's keep circling, because every industry, you take what you learned in the past and you apply it to the new one, and where you went right and where you went wrong. Yeah.
So when you did the MBA, of course, following your CPA, and what was it? It was it that drove you to that was to get a deeper understanding of business other than from the accounting side of it?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it comes from like, for me, understanding it more and also able to help and add more value. What I found was on the accounting side of it, when you're doing the compliance end, uh, like, again, it's needed work like tax returns, financial statements, even corporately, monthly management reports. Like, after a while, you don't feel like you're really adding a lot of value to it. And then at that point, for me, you start thinking, well, what else can I do? And then so this led to going out. I had an opportunity to do fractional control over hire work when I first decided to go my own. And it was great because I could bring, what I learned in public practice. So I know what they need at the end of the year. And then I know at this time now I had enough experience when I go to clients, I could actually help them. Like I found before when I first went to clients, I didn't know enough to help them out. They asked me questions. I wasn't really sure how to answer it. But when I went on my own, I had enough experience that I could actually sit down with the business owners or the senior staff and help them and provide solutions. So I really enjoyed that. And that's kind of like back in 2014 when I went on my own, that was kind of what started the whole thing, is just trying to add value and blend everything together. Um, then from there, I always had kind of that core, my sole incorporated, that's Stephen W. Himmelman CPA Inc., which was just me working alone doing it. Then I got professionally isolated. So then my mind started to wander around, and like, I wanted to have more of a business, something to grow with someone. So that again gets into the mobile pressure washing business. First for trade, made lots of mistakes. Listened to people I shouldn't have listened to. Learned a lot from it. But I was able to take all those experiences, especially on the labor side and the staff side, and then help out my consulting clients on the accounting end even more, because I lived their experiences. I had to make payroll off a credit card. I was, juggling payables and receivables just to make things work and to float. And then on top of that, kids in the mix. And so I was able to live what my clients' stresses are on a bit of a smaller scale. Still dealing with equipment breakdown, $10,000 here and there a month gone for equipment. So it again made me better at doing the control for hire. And at that point in time, I started doing fractional CFO work. So I had the experience that I could come in and work a lot with startups and other businesses on more strategic end of the business, but then also right down to the grassroots, the data entry, and then the understanding of how important the accounting system is to give them information to run.
Wow. I love the way that you've explained that, because it was all, I mean, you've got lots of credentials and accreditations, but the actual on the street experiences that you learned in your pressure washing business, how to get along with a partner. All of a sudden, we've got employees and payroll to make.
Yeah.
It's a much different skill set than the compliance world of public accounting.
No, and a lot of people, unless you're a business owner, like you just can't imagine it, or you just can't live it. And even people who come in and they come in and they say they're at a higher level, and they may work for bigger organizations with hundreds of employees. It's not the same level of stress that a small business owner may have or a startup may have, because the company's already established and running. So it's just a different skill set you need to learn and a different perspective of looking at things. You can't be as rigid.
Well, and that's it, and it's as somebody myself who's been and thank you. I mean, the time that you spent with me when we were getting CPA Business Coach underway is to trying to get accountants to become more advisors with their clients and the pushback and the story that you've just told really kind of shone a light on why many people, accountants in public practice, are kind of afraid to get into that advisory side because they haven't lived the life of an entrepreneur, funding their business on their credit cards, those kinds of types of things. They know it exists. They see it on their balance sheet and on their P&L, but that firsthand experience you gain from that is, and I want to, first of all, get back because, and when I did the introduction, was, you seem to be tireless, with your businesses and your real estate and a young family. How do you prioritize and allocate your time so that you're in control? In other words, you're responding and not reacting.
Yeah, I wouldn't say tireless. I'd almost say it's the other way around. Exhausted and recovering from burnout kind of led me to evolve to where I'm at now. So with again, like with a pressure washing business, it was small, it was a couple employees, and then it's also my accounting practice time. I was nonstop, like working on it, dealing with it. And then when our third kid came, something had to go. So that was kind of like my decision to sell it well before I wanted to. I was just slowly turning it around. Um, but that really kind of made me refocused and change what I'm doing, kind of to support my stage of life I'm at. So I actually, and I was very lucky. Like, this is one of the amazing things about accounting. I can change what I do within my accounting field, just based on all the incremental experiences you have. So at that point, I started to morph back into more of a year-end account, because I was thinking, okay, well, I can work my ass off during tax season, take summers off, and it'd be great. I spend all the time with the kids. It didn't work out that way. It doesn't work out that way in my head. I'm just not wired that way. That's why I wish I was more of a technician, because you can just pound out the work, but I can't. And every conversation I have with my clients, I get excited about their business, how they do things, and I want to bring it into mine. And then you start sparring, and then at the end of the day, you get no work done to bill out. So really what I started to do is just kind of change how I worked to be more flexible with the kid schedule. So it's easier to work during the school year because they're in school. But then I have to have flexibilities, like, at 3:30 if there's a soccer game to take off to. So that kind of led up to just changing the work I do. I got out of the fractional CFO work, because that, as you know, when I have multiple clients, stuff happens all this at once, and it's a lot of work. And it's hard, you just want to do the best job you can, and I just couldn't. So it led more to go back into the year-end accounting, which I did enjoy. I always enjoy doing tax work and financial statements. But then when I was doing that, I kind of found out, like, I was always having issues that wouldn't allow me to do the job that I wanted to do. And this is kind of going to lead me kind of to the other company that you might jump to a bit more, that we talk a lot about, Bookco Virtual Accounting. Was I was always having trouble on the data entry side, like good bookkeeping. I can never have clean, consistent numbers for me to do a tax return for my clients or compilation statements. There's always a lot of extra work that, again, I couldn't bill for. So I was losing my time on it. My clients weren't happy because it took longer to turn these things around. So like it was just a struggle that I was having. And then
So
yeah,
Bookco was really, you saw the need for, with your clients to get clean books so you could get them the financial information, file proper taxes.
exactly. And I also couldn't do it myself. I couldn't manage my client relationships and the bookkeeping, like the higher end engagement relationships and the bookkeeping relationships at the same time. I just couldn't do it because bookkeeping relationship it's a lot of time. You're in there every month. It's a lower value proposition for accountants. That's why a lot of accountants, prefer to do the higher level tax work, the higher level advising, because it's more profitable. But they need to have the good information in order to do it. And I tried. I tried with consultants. I tried with. I even hired an employee myself to do the bookkeeping and to help amazing people, but I couldn't control their workflow and do my work at the same time. So I was always the bottleneck in the issue. And then when I was struggling with all this is around 7 years ago when cloud accounting really started to take off. My current business partner now, Scott Fino, he was doing the same thing. We worked together in ING Real Estate REIT probably 14 years ago. We stayed in touch since, but we had conversations about how we always had issues in our own accounting firm on just getting good numbers and all the work that goes into it. So it kind of goes. So we started talking more. We're both on the same spot. Like you need to start a business that's focused kind of from the bookkeeping side and build it up. So we kind of set out together, kind of solve our own problems. So we both realized that we had to start it in a whole new company to start from scratch. Don't bring our old historical mistakes into the new business. So that's why we formed a separate company, Bookco Virtual Accounting, and everything we did for that company was actually built on processes. So my partner Scott, he's amazing with processes. He loves it. I love them, but then I kind of get sidetracked by shiny objects once they're set up. So we went through, and he is he's an amazing accountant, very experienced, but he did the bookkeeping starting off because we wanted to build scripts and processes and make sure everything worked smoothly to allow us to scale. So
That's, if I can jump in here, Stephen, because that is a huge commitment. I mean, when you're a $300 an hour value or more value accountant, and you
yeah,
go, I'm going to step back for 18 months or 2 years, and I'm going to do 75 or $80 an hour bookkeeping while
oh
I build the business. I
yeah,
mean, that's a long-term play.
it is, and especially in our market here in Nova Scotia. Look, we don't get those prices here. The bill rates of the $75 for bookkeeping, it's less than that. But what we saw is that a way of building monthly recurring cash flow and kind of a repeatable process that we can grow and scale. Um, and at the same time, building on our expertise of public accounting, so we know what the accountants need at the end product, and working within the industry, we know how things work, like how it's supposed to work and how to provide management reports, which is not really covered a lot in the industry yet. But in order to do that, we needed to build a strong foundation. So I keep saying, like the advisory pyramid, the bottom's that entry, then bookkeeping, and then you work your way up to controller, CFO, and tax and advisory services. We needed to build a very strong foundation and a business that can support itself just off the monthly recurring revenue, and then train staff to follow the process that Scott developed. And then so that kind of allowed us now, over we're around 6 years now, we have 10 of us in Bookco. We went the slow incremental growth just because we know the headaches of rapid growth, and we wanted to make sure that the process is being followed. Again, to make sure that the clients are happy and we don't have the headaches to deal with.
Yeah.
But just also to make sure the processes are all there and documented. So it's only now that we're actually getting into some of the higher value work because we have the support in place. We always kind of did it separately in our own individual corps. but we never brought it over because Bookco couldn't support kind of that key man or one-off thing we didn't want to get into.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that takes a lot of energy, the one-offs, you know.
Oh, it does. And that was my whole business was one-offs, and it's not repeatable. But the other thing we knew too is that um, accounting is a great industry. Like it really is. I don't view anyone as a competitor. We all do our things slightly different, different expertise. It's a relationship business, and all the accountants you meet just want to, they want to do a good job for the clients. And there's a lot of small independent accountants out there who need more support. So we partnered with other accounting firms. I might be kind of jumping ahead a bit because of the name of your podcast there, but
Yeah.
we knew what we were good at and what we were building was, again, added value, not only to the business owners, but to the accountants. So when we structured Bookco, we actually structured the end user being the external accountant uh, for the external accountant. So, with the model that they will fully recover all the time. They won't write off any billable time. They'll get their information timely, accurately, all consistent. All the clients are treated the same. So they can be profitable when they do the year-end work and actually spend more time advising their clients. And with that, the end goal and the processes we set up, the business owner actually gets a clean monthly bookkeeping and useful information. So, and then when you talk about circular, it's like the accountants are more profitable. So, they try us out with 1, 2 clients, and then it works well. And then next year they refer more, and then they refer more. So that's how we grew, is just kind of organically, just through our accounting circles, not competing with other accounting firms, just
Is it,
sharing a
you
workload, the
know,
relationship.
which leads me to a question because, and having been working with accounting firms now for, close to 10 years, the relationship between the bookkeeper and the accounting firm was always like, I'll do the taxes, I'll do the returns, you do the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
But your bookkeeping business now has evolved to being a full service firm. And
Yep.
how does that impact the relationship with the CPA firms who may fear if they send you bookkeeping business that you in fact may snipe
Oh
their
yeah. No,
tax business?
and that's always been a concern we have. So we've been always open with them from the very
Yeah.
beginning that we do this out of our own corp, and it helps pay the bills because it's a higher value service than bookkeeping. But it's actually, and we're fully transparent with everything we do, and we actually a lot of times mostly prefer to give tax clients to accounting firms that we come across. If we do the bookkeeping through the year and then they do the tax client, for us, our core is the monthly recurring work. That's what we want to grow a business on. The tax work we do for select clients, some of them come in orphan, some of them we come in and it's a big cleanup. So we have to clean them up in order to, you know, pass them off. But some of them it's just a fit. Where does the client fit?
Yeah.
A lot of the firms we work with, they'd only do reviews, or they may only do audits, or they may just do notice readers of financial compilations and
Yeah.
T2s. They just might not. They're not, the client's not big enough at that point to work with them. So yeah, we're not taking any client from them. Our goal is actually to strengthen their relationship with their client. So
Yes.
we take over that bookkeeping relationship, they handle that advising relationship, and then it works great because we're all working together to benefit the client. And where it's actually really worked great was like during COVID, when you had all the wage subsidies. Like we would, notify the accountant, did you want to do the wage subsidies? This is during
Yeah.
tax season. And they kept asking us to do it because we had all the information. They trusted us. So we were able to file the subsidies. So their client was happy that they got their wage subsidies quicker. The accountant was able to stick with the normal tax workflow. And so that kind of just showed that the business model works. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that because, and I wanted to lead to because, I mean, it sounds like you formed a great partnership with Scott. He's
Yep.
got not saying that you don't, but he took charge of the systems and the processes to make sure it was clean and repeatable, onboarding with new staff, onboarding with new clients. And while you were attracting and bringing in new clients and doing your advisory and real estate work. Um, kudos to you to build a partnership that respects each other's abilities and you know appreciate the boundaries that each of you have within the business.
Yeah.
Um, and that's more of a statement and a compliment to how important it is at the beginning to understanding what the business relationship is going to be. What
Yeah.
are your expectations? What's the return for your input versus the return from my input?
Yeah.
Um,
And that was
and
clearly when we started working together. And again, because experiences we had in our other industries of shareholder relationships going bad,
yeah,
uh, we talked about it and we set a couple goals that we wanted to have.
yes,
Uh, and one of the goals was we both wanted Scott to have, a good, well-paying job in Mahone Bay. He didn't have to commute to Halifax, which is like an hour every day, hour each way. So that was like one of the priorities was, create a good business so Scott can have, be able to stay in Mahone Bay and earn income. And actually, I'm from rural Nova Scotia as well. So, and we wanted to grow business in rural Nova Scotia because we both wanted to give back to it. So again, like our goals lined up with our strategy, and really, and then our strategy, and this goes back to like, how do you make, kids and how do you manage your workflow? Everything we're building, we're kind of our, I guess, our endpoint or line of sight is, can we operate this from an iPad on a beach? It's kind of like as simple as that sounds. That's our guiding decision, and I sold it, our guiding criteria, I guess. And I sold this from Scott. That everything that Bookco does, will we down the road be able to manage it from an iPad on the beach or truly remotely? Um, and that involves kind of removing the key man as soon as we can. Um,
well, that's to be able to, because I did, the time has already slipped away, and I was going to ask you the legacy question, but you've already answered some of the legacy question that you wanted to build a viable rural business
mm,
in Nova Scotia, Canada, which is really becoming not only building a firm, but great employees and providing them with good employees in an area that may otherwise not be able to support that. So
yeah.
uh,
And we have
kudos to
amazing,
you.
amazing employees. Like they're incredible. And the care they give to our clients is great. And really, we're a relationship business. The bookkeeping, tax, all that stuff is just a commodity. It's
Yeah.
basically relationships that you're selling.
Yeah, you got to
We're
attach
all
the
selling.
relationship to the commodity, which builds the value.
Yeah.
Stephen, it's been a wonderful conversation. I mean, I've known you such a long time, and I never get tired of your story and your inspiration and energy toward the accounting business. So, thank you very much for being here. How can the audience, and because this is, although it's live, I will be posting to the LinkedIn post where this video will be able to be seen later. How do people get a hold of you, Stephen? How do they get a hold of you and Bookco? And tell us a little bit.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is if you're on LinkedIn, just connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a message. You can go to Bookco's website, which is bookco.co, or I have my own website, stephenhimmelman.ca as well.
Perfect. So what I'll be doing is I'll be putting that information in the comment section below the video for this event, and encourage you to reach out to Stephen for any needs that you may have. And thanks again, Stephen. I always enjoy my time I spend with you.
No, thanks, Paul.
All right. Have a great day. On behalf of Stephen Himmelman, I'm Paul Roy from Profitable Practice Pro.